So today we'll go through a new announcement from Claude in which they introduced skills for agents. So let's see what it's all about and what can we take away from this, right? So this announcement was done on 16th October, so fairly recent announcement, and they're saying that equipping agents for the real world with the agent skills. So Claude is a powerful but real work requires procedural knowledge and organizational context. Introducing agent skills, a new way to build specialized agents using files and folders. As model capabilities improve, we can now build general purpose agents that can interact with full-fledged computing environments. Claude Code, for example, can accomplish complex tasks across domain using local code execution and file systems. But as these agents become more powerful, we need more composable, scalable, and portable ways to equip them with domain-specific expertise. So this is a trend that I've been seeing across, especially with Meta releasing the R paper, the agent research environments, where the focus has been to create environments which are very complex and replicate the real world as closely as possible. The core thesis is that if you give these environments or complex environments for the agents, they can play around in those environments, evolve over time, and learn the preferences and the complexity of the real world, which will then in turn help us build better agents. So that is the primary focus of research that has been going on. A lot of money is being thrown around in this category, especially a lot of labs buying data. So it's a pretty interesting release from Anthropic in that sense. So let's continue reading. This led us to create agent skills, organize folders of instructions, scripts, and resources that agents can discover and load dynamically to perform better at specific tasks. Skills extend Claude's capability by packaging your expertise into a composable resources for Claude, transforming general purpose agents into specialized agents that fits your needs. Building a skill for an agent is like putting together an onboarding guide for a new hire. Instead of building fragmented, custom designed agents for each use case, anyone can now specialize their agents with composable capabilities by capturing and sharing their procedural knowledge. In this article, we explain what skills are, show how they work, and share best practices to building your own. So essentially, the idea here is that, let's say, if you want to if you have 10 tasks that you can automate in a company setting or in your personal work setting, then instead of building 10 different agents, you can build 10 different skill documents or whatever, which we will see further in this article, and then provide those skills to the same agent. Just like if you expect an employee to do 10 different works, you don't hire 10 different people. You just train the same people for multiple sort of work scenarios. I think that's the core idea that they are proposing here. But yeah, let's read further. So agent plus skills plus virtual machine. So they are giving a computer to the agent. So this is a nice little diagram. Agent configuration. So we have core system prompt, and these are the skills that we are talking about, right? So if you look here, there's BigQuery, docs, NDA review, and a bunch of other things. Equipped MCP server. So these are the MCP server or the tools that the agent might need. MCP server 1, 2, 3. Then this is use computer. So if the agent want to change any files or execute code, or you want to use Excel sheet, then this is where we are sort of giving the agent the ability to use the computer. Contents of skill directories live in the agent's computer file system. So as just like human would, you manage all your files in the directory and everything. So they have given the capability for the agent to do this. It's more like, I would say, memory for the computers, for the agents. So a skill is a directory containing a skill.md file that contains organized folders of instructions, scripts, and resources that give agents additional capabilities. So you see, for each of these skills, there's skill.md, data resources.md. I think these are all the rules and critical instructions that the agent must follow or must learn in order to be learning the skill, right? So anyways, the anatomy of a skill. To see skills in action, let's walk through a real example. One of the skills that power Claude's recently launched document editing capabilities. Claude already knows a lot about understanding PDFs, but is limited in its ability to manipulate them directly. Example, to fill out a form. This PDF skill lets us give Claude these new abilities. At its simplest, a skill is a directory that contains a skill.md file. This file must start with a YAML front matter that contains some required metadata like name, description. At startup, The agent preloads the name and description of every installed skill into its system prompts. Okay. This metadata is the first level of progressive disclosure. It provides just enough information for the Claude to know when each skill should be used without loading all of it into the context. So remember, skill.md is a minimal system instruction that should be inside the system prompt of an agent while running inference in order for it to have that skill, in order to install that skill in the agent. It provides just, okay, the actual body of this file is a second level of detail. If Claude thinks the skill is relevant to the current task, it will load the skill by reading its full skill.md into context. Okay. So this is an example of a skill.md file, PDF skill, YAML front matter, name PDF, description, comprehensive PDF toolkit for extracting text and tables, merging, splitting documents, and filling out forms. So this is the description of the skill, what is skill is supposed to do. Then you have detailed instruction of the skill. So overview. This guide covers essential PDF processing operations using Python libraries and command line tools. For advanced features, JavaScript libraries and detailed examples, see reference.md. If you need to fill out a PDF form, read ./forms.md and allow its instructions. So you see, so there's a high level skill which is like playing around and modifying PDF. And then there are sub skills like reading a PDF, editing a PDF, and a bunch of other things. So you have detailed instruction here, right? So for example, in quick start, you have given a Python script which allows your agents to read a PDF. And skill.md file must begin with YAML front matter that contains a file and name description which is loaded into the system. Okay. As skills grows in complexity, they may contain too much context to fit into a single skill.md file, or context that's relevant only in specific scenarios. In these cases, skills can bundle additional files within the skill directory and reference them by name from skill.md. Okay. These additional linked files are the third level level of details and beyond, which Claude can choose to navigate and discover only as needed. So the idea here is to provide minimum context so that the model or the agent doesn't get confused. Keep it minimal, simple, just like everything else in our life, like this applies. So that is the thing that they're trying to achieve here, that for adding additional complexity and layers, which in some tasks might be required, just keep it in a separate file. Don't mix everything in our primary file. In the PDF skill shown below, the skill.md refers to two additional files, reference.md and forms. So this is the, you can say, second and third degree of detailing that we might want to do. That skill author chooses to bundle alongside the core skill.md, which is the core. By moving the form filling instruction to a separate file, the skill author is able to keep the core of the skill lean, trusting that Claude will read forms.md only when filling out a form. So if you just want to read a PDF, doesn't want to fill any forms, etc., you don't need this. Bundling additional context. So this is again like you see, we have reference.md, forms.md that are being referred here in the main skill.md file so that it is clean, and if the agent wants to read it, they can go into detail here. Progressive disclosure is a core design principle that makes agent skill flexible and scalable. Like a well-organized manual that starts with a table of contents, then specifies chapter, and finally a detailed appendix, skills let Claude load information only as needed. Okay, so you can also see the token distribution here, right? It's always loaded because it is a core. This is where the agents finds out whether they need the skill or not, and then so on and so forth. Agents with a file system and code execution tools don't need to read the entirety of a skill into their context window when working on a particular task. This means that amount of context that can be bundled into a skill is effectively unbounded. Skills and context window. The following diagram shows how the context window changes when a skill is triggered by a user's message. So there they have given the example. Short snippets from each skill appended into the system prompt. Initial message from user. So this is the agent system prompt. Okay. And then fill out this PDF based on what you know about me. Attached uploads order form.pdf. So you see the agent is automatically detecting that I need to use the PDF skill, and I also need to sort of fill out the form in the PDF. Forms, so it is now referencing forms.md, which has all the instruction for the agents on how to fill the form. So this is pretty good. The sequence of operations shown. To start, the context window has a core system prompt and the metadata for each of the installed skills along with the user's initial message. So So yeah, they are referring to this particular part where we have all the skills, but we just need PDF skills here. So it automatically figures out from the given list of skills to choose the necessary skill. So that is very important. And then from the skill itself, like it also understands which second or third degree meta skill it needs to complete the task. Claude triggers the PDF skill by invoking a bash tool to read the content of PDF skills.md. Claude chooses to read the forms.md file bundled with the skill. Finally, Claude proceeds with the user's task now that it has loaded relevant instructions from the PDF skill. Skills and code execution. Skills can also include code for Claude to execute as tools at its discretion. Large language models excel at many tasks, but certain operations are better suited for traditional code execution. For example, sorting a list via token generation is far more expensive than simply running a sorting algorithm. Beyond efficiency concerns, many applications require the deterministic reliability that only code can provide. Okay. In our example, the PDF skill includes a pre-written Python script that reads the PDF and extracts all form fields. Claude can then run this script without loading either the script or the PDF into context, and because code is deterministic, this workflow is consistent and repeatable. Okay. Bundling executable scripts, PDF forms.md, PDF extract fields.md. Okay. Skills can also include code for Claude to execute as tools at its discretion based on the nature of the task. Developing and evaluating skills. So this is again like if you are the developer and you want to leverage this skill feature into your agents, then how you can first of all build this, and more importantly, how do you do continuous evaluations so that you know that the agent is learning the skills as required and where you can improve. Here are some helpful guidelines for getting started with authoring and testing skills. Start with the evaluation. Identify specific gaps in your agent capabilities by running them on representative tasks and observing where they struggle or require additional context. Then build skills incrementally to address these shortcomings. Yeah, fairly standard process. When the skill.md file becomes unwieldy, split its content into separate files and reference them. If certain contexts are mutually exclusive or rarely used together, keeping the path separate will reduce the token usage. Finally, code can serve as both executable tools and as documentation. It should be clear whether Claude should run scripts directly or read them into context as reference. Makes sense. So basically, again, in the top section, as they referred, where you need determinism, you should go with Claude. You should go with code scripts and reference these code scripts into your first, second, third degree skill files. And if you don't have a specific task which is like deterministic and which is like free flowing, then you should load the context into the context window. Think from Claude's perspective. Monitor how Claude uses your skill in real scenarios and iterate based on observations. Watch for unexpected trajectories or over-reliance on certain contexts. Pay special attention to the name and description of your skill. Claude will use these when deciding whether to trigger the skill in response to its current task. So, okay, this is very important, right? Don't think of it as how you would do the task. Think of it from a model's perspective, right? How much context it had, what was like above and below the instruction when it is referring the skill. So this is very important. Iterate with Claude. As you work on a task with Claude, ask Claude to capture its successful approaches and common mistakes into reusable context and code within a skill. If it goes off track when using a skill to complete a task, ask it to self-reflect on what went wrong. Yeah, this always works. This process will help you discover what context Claude actually needs instead of trying to anticipate it upfront. Security consideration when using skills. So these are the 4 or 5 points that Anthropic has given developers if you are working with skills for your agents. Security consideration when using skills. Skill provide Claude with new capabilities through instruction and code. While this makes them powerful, it also means that malicious skills may introduce vulnerabilities in the environment where they are used or direct Claude to exfiltrate data and take unintended actions. We recommend installing skills only from trusted sources. When installing a skill from a less trusted source, thoroughly audit it before use. Start by reading the contents of the file bundled in the skill to understand what it does. Paying particular attention to code dependencies and bundled resources like images or script. Similarly, pay attention to instructions or code within the skill that instruct Claude to connect to potentially untrusted external network sources. So yeah, just don't go berserk with this. Like install the after this release, just like when Anthropic released the MCP protocol, there was a flood of people building MCP servers. Similarly, there will be a lot of people and a lot of startups trying to build sort of a marketplace or a common place where all the skills can be installed. using this framework. So just be careful from where you are installing these scripts. I think that's the point that they are trying to say here. The future of skills. Agent skills are supported today across Cloud AI, Cloud Code, and Cloud Agent SDK, and the Cloud Developer Platform. In the coming weeks, we'll continue to add features that support the full lifecycle of creating, editing, discovering, sharing, and using skills. We're especially excited about the opportunity for skills to help organizations and individuals share their context and workflows with Cloud. We will also explore how skills can complement model context protocol servers by teaching agents more complex workflows that involve external tools and software. So this is probably a good discussion, or a good sort of thought experiment to have internally, is how are skills different from MCP. I think from my initial reaction reading this blog is that MCP servers are just tools, way to use tools, and it's just a tool, but skills are basically the way how to use the tool. Like, so for example, if you're learning a guitar, then guitar itself is an MCP server, I would say. And then learning how to play the guitar, the different chords and the different strokes and everything is I think the skills or MD file that they are referring to. Again, I have to think deeper into it. I'm not sure, but this is how it looks like. This is the first impression. This is my first impression of MCP versus skills. Looking further ahead, we hope to enable agents to create, edit, and evaluate skills on their own. This is what, like, so basically when we were building RAG, we used to manage the model's context via ourselves, but now recently with papers like MemGPT and Memory, where you give the agents or the model the instruction to self-manage their context and store long-term, short-term memory, hierarchical memory. So I think that's another evolution of this, where instead of just you managing the skills for the model doing it for themselves. Okay. Skills are simple concepts with a correspondingly simple format. The simplicity makes it easier for organizations, developers, and end users to build customized agents and give them new capabilities. We're excited to see what people build with skills. Get started today by checking our skill docs and cookbooks. Written by Barry Zhang. So yeah, so this was the blog. I think it's gaining fairly decent popularity on Twitter and social media. I'm not sure there were other releases during the time. So I think this is definitely something that you can try out. Maybe give it some popular skills for your agents, and I'm excited to test it out. I'll play around with it for a couple of weeks now. And yeah, this is what I really love about Anthropic, is that they are fully focusing on coding and agentic skills and not going like into finance, healthcare, which OpenAI is doing. So it's pretty interesting and refreshing to see this take by Anthropic, and we can see this with the release of Sonnet 4.5. But yeah, that was my take on I wanted to read it together, and my take on skills, what would you build with skills? Like, comment down below and we can have a chat. Bye.